welcome to another episode of the Sports and Stuff Dummy. I'm the Dummy, and today we have a special guest host. My buddy Seth is in. Thank you, Seth, for coming and joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Milo.
I hope everyone's having a great Saturday. This show might be a few minutes longer than normal because we have a lot of the NFL draft to break down. So bear with us. I hope you guys enjoy the show. So before we start breaking down picks and stuff, what was your overall assessment of the draft?
Pretty good. I like to say, first of all, I think Nashville did a great job putting the thing on. It looks like everyone's having fun out there. I like the packed street look compared to more of the like contrived studio outside the stadium stuff that even I think it looks better than when Chicago put it on.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee presented what was probably a WWE promo cut combined with reading the Colts pick last night when he absolutely roasted everyone, including himself. That was pretty fantastic. So I think it's been good. I haven't watched ABC's coverage. I know they did. It's now for the first time it's on network television. I don't know if it's different than the NFL Network's coverage, but I haven't watched it. I do think that there was points last night where the amount of media stuff was slowing it down. There were a couple points where the picks were queued for a while.
Okay.
I thought we could have extended out a little bit, but it's also cool to have the old guys come up and read the picks and stuff. Shout out to Jim Brown. It's 2019, not 2013. So other than that, but yeah, it's been a good show overall. Yeah, I mean,
Nashville, great job city in Nashville. The way I like how they did it on, I forgot the name of the street where they actually were in the city in the street. When Chicago had it, they had it in a confined area near the lake. But yeah, Nashville, that was awesome. I love seeing the crowd as far as it went. Well, I don't think there was any surprise with the first pick, Kyler Murray. I mean, any thoughts on that?
I mean, they got their guy, right? I think the problem is, we'll just talk about it now. You end up trading Rosen for the 62nd overall pick, which means you traded up to 10 last year to trade the guy. So you traded your first round last year, a third round last year, and a fifth round last year to get a guy who you then got rid of and got in return the 62nd pick and a fifth round pick. You turned a first, a third, and a fifth into a second and a fifth. And, that's kind of aside from, look, you have to get your guy, I understand that, but it's just really bad draft capital management. And I just don't know why a year after having to fire a coach into 1 year, having to trade away his own quarterback that he drafted after 1 year. Why does that guy have a job in Arizona? Like, what are you doing? And also, even the hire of Kingsbury is like, so you hired if it works, then this will be a hilarious freezing cold take at some point. But I mean, why would you?
Yeah, because Kingsbury, I think, in your opinion, was he not because it's a pass happy league now, and he always had those high powered offenses.
He got fired because those offenses couldn't score enough at Texas Tech. Like, what makes him think that offense scores enough in the NFL?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I like the pick. I think Murray was the
not to really kind of say anything about Murray. Like, whatever. I think someone was going to take Murray there, whether it was the Cardinals or not. I think what the Cardinals did from an overall asset management perspective was a little weird. But yeah, I get it. We'll see how he fares. The problem is that you say with anyone young quarterback on a team that's that bad is, does he have weapons around him?
Right.
Other than Larry Fitzgerald, I guess David Johnson was hurt last year, or not last year. No, he was kind of hurt last year too.
He was on and off the field.
Yeah. They weren't using him well. Wilkes didn't really appear to try to throw to running backs much. So maybe he does have the weapons to kind of succeed. I think he'll just kind of wait and see there. But
yeah, we're both in agreement. I think Kyler Murray was the guy, in my opinion, barring any significant injury or something. He's going to be a good player.
Most likely.
Then the next four picks are defensive heavy. You got Bosa with the Niners.
Not shocking. I mean, Bosa was before he got injured and before Murray kind of jumped up the board. Bosa was kind of looked at as probably a number one pick, and also targeted to the Niners since it was obvious the Niners were going to be bad after Garoppolo went down very early last week.
He was
first week, I think. So it was kind of obvious the Niners would have a top 5 pick. I think Bosa was always kind of connected there. The Jets, Quentin Williams. Well, yeah, the Jets drafting good defense. That doesn't shock anybody.
Quentin Williams is great. I like it. The shocker at number 4 picked a lot higher than most
Farrell. You got to if you get the opportunity to fool everyone and take Cleveland Farrell and send all of your scouts home and let because they could have leaked that pick. No one would have believed that would have been the pick. So hey, that's great. That's great for them. I don't really get it.
I think it's a reach at 4.
It's a bit of a reach. It's a bit of a reach.
I think it's a reach at 4. But you know what? Maybe they know something we don't know.
Clearly, they're smarter than a whole room of scouts.
I watched a lot of Clemson football, and he was not the best defensive player on that field. They took, and then wow. Here's the head scratcher. I will admit I did not watch a whole lot of Duke football.
Oh, Daniel Jones?
But the Giants decide to skip over Dwayne Haskins and draft Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying that why, but I did. I'm gonna give you something that I heard today from Ryan, the former coach of the Jets.
Rex Ryan?
Rex Ryan.
Okay.
He goes, everyone's dogging that pick, but if you put him in a different system, he's got every intangible you want in a quarterback. And the one thing he said that he has over Haskins is that Daniel Jones has been running a pro-style offense for 3 years already in Duke.
Okay.
So what do you think? Do you think that's enough to have him jump that high up in the draft when he was considered at best a 3rd round pick?
I think there's arguments to be made for, Daniel Jones, and not any of those arguments contain using Rex Ryan's opinion on quarterbacks, because that's a dude who rolled with Mark Sanchez until it ruined his career. So, I don't really know what the hell he thinks he's talking about. If he wants to give his opinion on linebacker, I think that's great. But there's upside to him. He's more athletic than Haskins. Haskins had an iffy combine in terms of running a very slow 40 time.
Right.
Athletic, more mobile quarterback, a little bit in vogue right now. So I think that kind of hurts him. The puzzling thing about their pick is they described it as an Eli and Favre scenario. Or a Aaron Rodgers and Favre.
Where they're going to have him sit 3 years?
Gettleman said that if he needs to, he can have Eli continue to play for 3 more years while Daniel Jones develops behind him. Okay, if that's true, there's one big difference. Let's see when Rodgers was drafted.
Was that 05, I believe?
Well, no. I mean, what pick he was.
20...
Yeah.
He was in the 20s.
Yeah, so picking a guy in the 20s, let's see where we went. 2005 NFL draft. 24th overall. So he got picked 24th. There's a big difference in picking a guy 24th overall and letting him sit when you have Brett Favre than there is picking a guy 6th overall and
expecting
him to sit for 3 years, but then also kind of intimating that Eli might be done. I think it's just the Giants are kind of mismanaged overall right now. If you were going to get a young quarterback, trading away OBJ doesn't really make a lot of sense because that's kind of what he wanted anyway. So I'm just not sure they really have a direction. Daniel Jones, we'll see. I think the thing that's really going to stick in their craws potentially because Haskins slipped to the Redskins, they could end up paying twice a year for that choice for a while if Haskins is good.
Same division.
If Haskins is good.
Well, apparently Haskins going 15th to the Redskins is the steal of the draft so far, the value pick.
We'll see. I mean, if you can get a quarterback at 15, that's great. You just have to see if Haskins kind of pans out. I don't see why he wouldn't, other than the general knock that Ohio State quarterbacks haven't been particularly great in the NFL previously. But he set some records. He's got a different style to him. We'll see what he can do. I would have taken Haskins over Jones. I don't tend to trust the prospects that come up out of nowhere. But that being said, I follow more larger conferences, right? I'm never going to be up on a quarterback from Duke unless he's really doing something special, right? So it's not a knock on Jones because I don't pay attention to him, but I don't know what Haskins did with a kind of an Ohio State team that had issues and had some drama. With as good as Haskins did with that, I don't know why you can say what Jones did with the Duke team is better necessarily, but
I think what Rex Ryan was, he wasn't necessarily looking at the stats. He was just looking at the style offense he ran there, the throws he was able to make, which Haskins can make as well.
yeah, like
Jones
I
a
don't
little
see
bit-
any of these as like Haskins is a little bit beefier. I mean, I don't see any of these as things that make Jones better than Haskins. They just make Jones comparable to Haskins.
Anything else in the first round catch your eye? Other than that,
Ed Oliver to the Bills is cool, mainly because I wanted him as a Browns fan, but that was obviously done. Pittsburgh, Devin Bush, linebacker, of course. They're
is
going
that a little high for him?
It is a little high, but it's very Steelers. It's a linebacker. Also, they kind of need to replace Shazier because he's probably you can't really count on him ever playing again. So they needed something there. Packers, Rashawn Gary. Actually thought Gary would go before Bush, but so yeah, you already talked about Haskins.
I'm looking at this. I mean, it's this is the guy who fell because of off the field. Christian Wilkinson, number 13, who was also a teammate of Cleveland Farrell. He's the guy that was supposed to be like a top 5 pick.
Yeah, wasn't he suspended for PEDs?
Yeah.
Right.
And other than that, the first round, I mean, the Raiders, Josh Jacobs with Alabama, big, Montez Sweat obviously was supposed to be a top 10 pick, fell because apparently there's some heart issues.
I was not aware of that. But
Yeah,
okay.
he was the the star of the combine.
Yeah.
But apparently he fell because of.
Well, that could be a huge value. I mean, the Redskins could have gotten 2 very valuable,
Oh yeah.
floor models, I guess.
Can you imagine that?
Getting dings.
Man, can you imagine if they both pan out? You get them at
Could you
15?
imagine Dan Snyder not screwing up the Redskins, though?
Oh God, I don't know. Man, if he's
Redskins routinely win the offseason and then go like 9-7 and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I don't. Second round, I'm going to skip all this because these are all just. I want to get to the story of Mr. John Dorsey popping up 3 picks and getting a top 10 talent at 46.
I
believe
yeah,
it was.
it was 3 picks early. They were going to pick at 49.
46. He gets Greedy Williams, in my opinion, the top corner in the draft, the best shutdown corner in the draft, and now you're going to pair him with Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
Does he start right away over? I forgot his name now. The other corner from the Browns, Mitchell. Is it?
I mean, there would be. I think you'll have like a nominal competition in camp just because you would do that. I wouldn't see any reason you wouldn't, though. I mean, essentially, right now, if this pans out, the Browns have their sort of Hannaford and Dixon style. These are the 2 corners they're going to have going forward in Ward and Williams. I think it's a great pick. It's cool that OBJ was very excited about it too, which is kind of, you kind of have a different culture around the team right now. Obviously, he's really, really fast. I think he's in the 4.3 range.
4'3", 6'1".
He's tall. He's tall for a corner. I think he's going to be an excellent coverage piece. And then the teams are really essentially going to have to choose between Ward and Williams. And I think that's a really good. That's going to force action to the center of the field. Now that's where we might be kind of the weakest in terms of safety and in terms of linebacking, but at least we know where it's going to go. We can kind of try to play to that. So I think the hope is to allow those 2 to play more on an island so we can stack that center of the field with more personnel to make up for some deficiencies there, especially in the depth, right? You're running packages a lot, and it's a lot more than just the first name on the depth chart. You're going to have to be able to play. Second guy, third, fourth guy, sometimes in the case of injury down, are going to have to contribute meaningful snaps to the defense in order to be competitive. So I think being able to trust those guys on islands is going to be helpful in terms of rotation in the center.
At this point, how do you doubt anything this man does now with the track record this man has had since he's been here in Cleveland?
Because as your Browns fan, you'd expect something to go wrong at some point.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, what's on paper right now?
Well, that's exactly it, right? It's on paper. I think you have to start seeing some things pan out. Not that I'm knocking it at all, but it's just okay. Hey, we've done really well. We've ticked all the boxes. Let's get to training camp without injuries, without any off-field bullshit. Let's get to the preseason. Let's just start playing football. Really,
Yeah,
because
because
where
right
we're
now-
at is just let's just go. Then we're ready to go.
And we're obviously we're not talking about the Browns simply because of our location. They seem to be America's story now.
You know, it's difficult for me to judge any kind of national hype on them because I would be following it anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, I would imagine they're more popular. They're probably a cool pick.
Right.
Next year in the upcoming Madden that's going to come out, they're going to be a fun team to play video games with because of the talent on there.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is that in most years, none of these national television shows, radio stuff, or
I
anybody.
mean, let's just call it what it is. They're like cool now.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it is. They have a decent amount of buzz about them, a decent amount of talent.
So do you expect him to just go defensive heavy for the rest of the picks?
I'd like to see some offensive line depth. I think you just need to constantly be drafting at that position at some point in the draft. Doesn't always have to be high, but you're going to rotate guys through there. You're never going to stay 100% healthy at those positions. So you just need to have more bodies there. Yeah, defense is heavy, most likely. I wouldn't be mad if we think there's a decent kicker available. There's at least 3 games.
Who's the kicker right now for them?
I think it was it still Parkey? Or is
No,
it not
Parkey was the
Parkey?
Bears' horrible kicker.
Yeah, that's true. We got him off from, he left Miami last year.
He wasn't get a good healthy kicking competition coming in. We'll see, because I've seen too many teams lose games because of kickers missing, not 55-yarder.
Greg Joseph, Zane Gonzalez.
No.
Yeah, those are all dudes we used last year. The point is they lost 3 games, I think, to bad special teams last year, particularly field goals. So if there is a kicker available in the late rounds that you think is worth a shot, by all means take them. I think there's a larger case to be made that the truly good and reliable kickers are fairly rare in the NFL. Evidence is there's only so many good ones, and the ones that are good hang on for a long time. And pretty much everyone else is constantly cycling through them. So
Right,
there's got to be a way to identify this talent because there's only so many of them.
Was and this is when you do identify this kicker. I don't understand, like the Bears, Robbie Gould, refused to pay him, and he goes on to the Niners, and I think he's missed. They said he's missed three field goals in 4 years he's been there.
Yeah, it's been very good. It hasn't translated into much success for the Niners either, though, and that was the same thing when the Niners signed Phil Dawson after the Browns decided it was to walk away. Part of that was because the Browns kind of felt bad, I think, for continuing to put Phil Dawson in that position, as it was very bad teams he kicked on, and probably was responsible for more wins than a kicker rightfully should be. But the reality is, until the NFL changes the rules to where they eventually want to and eliminates kicking entirely from the game, it's going to be a very important part of winning close games.
Right.
And good teams have to win close games, and I think if the Browns want to take that next step, they're going to have to not just win the games where it's super fun and you blow Cincinnati out by 17 points or something, but you're going to have to kick a field goal with no time remaining. You're going to have to win by 6. You're going to have to win by 3. Potentially even in shootout games. This isn't going to be necessarily Tressel-style, slow games. You could have to win 34-31 because you were the last guys to touch the ball. So I think you do need to find a kicker. I won't even pretend to act like I know who the kickers in the draft are.
Right, yeah.
I'm saying you can trust in Dorsey enough if you think we have one. But I would hope that they try to address that, since it cost us at least 3 games and an unknown amount of changed decision making in the moment on 4th downs and in situational calls late in games to have to go for it a little more because we couldn't kick a field goal. Now I do like that they're aggressive on 4th down, but you want to have the option to get 3.
Right.
So.
Well, that's, like I said, John Dorsey right now, his track record so far is good. I'm not going to down any of the moves that he does. The NFL draft obviously is a fun time of the year, especially for, true hard fans. They got fantasy's a huge deal, so people are always looking at players that teams pick up. But it should be interesting to watch the rest of the draft, and we'll see what players get picked, what players don't get picked up, who gets picked up as a free agent. But it's great. But if you don't mind, we can switch lanes a little bit.
Yeah.
And, what's your level in baseball? already so far? Are you there yet?
What do you mean?
Are you fully invested in it? Like where you're gonna sit down and watch?
Yeah, I actually picked up that DAZN app, a subscription to it, just because they basically have what I'd call the red zone of baseball.
Oh,
So Monday
really?
through Saturday, it's like 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. They just kind of have a studio show and they cut around to games as stuff's happening. And so you can put that on the background, mess around on the internet or whatever, and kind of catch a lot of different baseball. Obviously, I watch the Indians a lot, follow them, listen to that on the radio. But yeah, I think actually the season's been pretty exciting. There's been an obnoxious amount of incredibly good throwouts that I've seen, getting a lot of highlights from that perspective. Vladdy Jr. last night making his debut, long anticipated by myself with full fantasy considerations, obviously.
Huge. Growing up, I was a huge Vlad Guerrero fan.
Yeah, you would have had to be.
I can't believe he's got a son already in the majors, a core of baseball.
Well, he's 20, so he's not that old.
The top prospect in all baseball.
I mean, arguably he should have broken camp with the big league team.
Well, you know they did that for service.
Yeah, understandable. I'm not sure the specifics of how that works. I know that that's a problem that we have to fix. Recently it was kind of, I think, the 20-year, something like that, anniversary of, or 30-year maybe, of Ken Griffey Jr. coming up.
Right.
He came up in '89 when he was 19 years old. And it got me thinking just about kind of the state we are with where analytics and sort of the numbers-driven contract management's taken us with baseball. If we apply that logic to then, basically Ken Griffey Jr. would be set up, brought down, set up, brought down, set up, brought down to mess with his service time,
Right.
as opposed to creating the career that he did. So I just hope in whatever next labor agreement they come to, we can sort of stop incentivizing teams to mess around with guys' service time like that, because it really doesn't. I don't think it benefits the teams or the game.
No, because if your best player, if you're one of your best players is that particular player, he should be on the major league roster, because isn't the point of this is to take your best 24 guys and put them on the, of course, but now
Yeah.
you're doing it to mess with his time of service.
Right.
You're holding them down there for an extra month. Well, guess what? You can lose a bunch of games in that month.
Yeah, but it's different. I mean, it's about the long-term healthy organization. The teams do it for a valid reason. I understand there's contractual, there's a lot of money at stake with it, and just the way that analytics and analysis and numbers-driven sort of quantitative stuff has driven this. So I get it. We just have to disincentivize that behavior.
Well, one of baseball's best players is finally back. Frankie Lindor smacks a couple last
2
night.
home runs, his 100th off his knee, oddly, in a weird Hank Aaron-esque looking pose. I think he's maybe one of the 5 fastest to 100 home runs. He got there at a really obnoxious pace, especially given his size. And I'll be frank with you, he wasn't really supposed to. He wasn't considered a power hitter when he was coming up. There's a story that he hit 2 home runs once in one minor league game, but he wasn't necessarily tagged as a power hitter. That being said, he's really. We're glad he's back. It's difficult. The context in which Tribe ownership put Frankie Lindor's extended service time as an Indian this offseason puts it in an awkward situation. But other than that, I guess we'll just enjoy him.
Well, as a fan, it's good to see him back. Obviously, he's one of the great players in the game. I hope he stays here for a long, long time. I hope they pay him. He's worth every penny. And we'll enjoy him while he's here.
Yeah.
We'll definitely enjoy him. The 15-10, right behind the Twins.
Well, it just took 2 out of 3 from the Astros as of last night.
That's cool.
You got Trevor Bauer out there trolling the Astros, which I love. I always will consider the Astros a fake AL team. They're a National League team.
That doesn't seem.
It just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't seem. Yeah.
But I mean, eventually we'll get used to it, because for a while there, I thought the Brewers were a fake NL team because they had left the AL Central to go to the NL Central. So I guess we get over it. The Yankees is kind of almost tragic with how beat up they are.
Well, they're losing everybody.
And they even lost Frazier last night. They started. What was his name? They started somebody who they had to trade the Indians for. It was a DFA type guy.
Man, yeah, I feel bad for them. They just.
Hold on, I gotta figure out what his name is.
They're still winning though, which is oddly impressive that they're still winning.
Cameron Maybin. They started
they got him.
Cameron Maybin.
I remember him. He was a center fielder
for the Giants.
for the Giants. He played for the Giants.
They
too.
played the Indians minor league at this point, and they basically was traded for assets to be named later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's. Well, yeah. I feel I asked you that question about if you're fully vested in because we're getting to that time of year where basketball's getting towards the end, hockey's getting towards the end, and this is all we're gonna have pretty much for the rest of the summer.
Sure.
So I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, you'll have. Oh no, you've got. See, no, you're not going to have. July of 2019 is going to be lit with NBA free agency is going to be wild this year. So
let me about those Jackets knocking off the Lightning.
yeah,
Taking the Bruins to over extra period.
I think they lost though.
They lost 3-2.
Yeah,
Game 1.
right. So I mean, the extra period doesn't really matter. I was concerned that the layoff might hurt Columbus because they were playing. I think a lot of what it was is the layoff that Tampa had kind of hurt them compared to what Columbus had. Columbus had to fight down the stretch to make the playoffs, had to win on the last weekend of the year, get a little help. Tampa had things pretty much iced for quite a while.
Right.
So I don't know that, the Jackets had sort of been playing playoff hockey for a couple of months now. That really helped them with it. And then just sort of, they kind of believe it's one of those upsets where, hey, they had nothing to lose. They sort of went into it. They made an interesting move at the deadline with the trades they made. They could still end up losing a lot of those players. And Panarin and Bobrovsky could still walk at the end of the year. And they will have gotten really nothing for them. But I think it's important that the franchise got its first playoff series win. I think they've sort of re-ingrained themselves into the sporting culture of Columbus. It took a little while. Early on, you would see more away fans at those types of games, especially for local teams, Pittsburgh, Detroit, things like that. But I think they've done well with the branding on it, and they're more ingrained there than I would have said they were even 10 years ago or so.
Right. Charlie Cole for the Bruins just dropping a couple goals. Right now he's playing out of his mind. You've got great hockey. I haven't been able to keep up with it much because of basketball. I've been watching a lot of basketball, which I'm sure people are not really that interested in talking about because the Warriors are probably going to win the whole damn thing again.
Well, hey, at least they didn't blow a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, well, yeah, still a little sour there about that.
I mean, I'm not. That's a non-starter, but it's yeah, sure they might win. You never know. It's still the NBA playoffs, and so you can tell. I think that the bigger upside of that is you can tell it's a different sport when it gets to this time of year than it is for the most of the rest of the year. So.
Yeah, that's true. You're a golf guy. What'd you think about that Tiger win?
Well, personally, I enjoyed it. I'm a Tiger fan. It kind of I just remember that era when he was really going on those runs, and it was a time when you watch a lot of it. It was sort of as the internet was coming up too, so we had less, you're more focused on singular moments of things like that. So I thought it was real cool. I think it was a shame that the weather court sort of delayed it. It kind of happened very quickly. A lot of the CBS networks hadn't cut over until a little bit later in the match. It would have been fun to watch that unfold on a normal non-weather event day, slowly over the course of a Sunday, kind of building that momentum of, hey, Tiger's in it. But I think it was good. There's obvious comparisons to Nicklaus in '86. I think the difference was that Tiger had a lot of guys just get in the water on 15, and that was the big difference. He managed to avoid that, as opposed to making a huge charge himself. But it was still vintage Tiger. He played great.
What? And you know what? And I'm not posing you. I've asked this question, but I'm interested in hearing what you have to think because I know you follow golf pretty well. Does he have to get 18 majors to be considered the greatest of all time, in your opinion? Does he have to surpass that?
No, because I think, again, it's like greatest of all time in any sport. You have to look at the era, right? Tiger, personally, probably ushers in this whole completely different era of golfers that we have now. Tiger's one of the first golfers that clearly takes physical training seriously and actually is more of an athlete than he is just a guy playing the game.
Golfers weren't
really in shape back when Tiger was much as they. Sure, there were some guys, but a lot more of them looked like older Phil or younger Phil, actually a little bit pudgier.
Mickelson, yeah.
Yeah, than they did Tiger. Now guys like Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, all these younger guys, they're all kind of more in shape than they used to be. everyone hits longer than they used to. I mean, Tiger came out at a time where he was just bombing the ball differently. And then when you go greatest of all time, you have so many not just physical differences that we've seen over a decade or so, the technology differences in the clubs. Who knows if you take a prime Arnold Palmer and a prime Jack and a prime Tiger and give them all the best technology today? Who knows what happens, right?
Right.
There's so much that's in that. I think you just have to look at everyone within their era. Tiger goes down as one of the greatest golfers. I watched him. I think Tiger had more. Tiger definitely goes down as the greatest draw golf has ever had.
Oh, definitely, and that's
cultural appeal.
That's what I'm getting at. When Tiger is playing and he's playing well,
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously great for the sport of golf. It attracts a lot of novice golf fans like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a self-admitted not the biggest
Yeah.
golf guy, but when he's playing, I'm watching.
Right.
Which I can't say that about any other golfer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you being a fan, you can sit there and watch. But for me to
Playing a fancy golf league.
yeah, exactly. But for me to sit there and turn my TV on, it's got to be Tiger.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's just he has that kind of crossover appeal. To be fair, the coverage could highlight a lot of what these younger guys are doing, and they could also have a lot of that appeal too. ESPN being what ESPN is, ESPN is going to push what ESPN wants, and ESPN wants to push Tiger regardless if he's in competition or not.
Right.
So I think that's sort of on them. It's a chicken and egg situation. Does the coverage begat the interest, or does the interest cause the coverage, right?
Right.
I don't know that you can prove that. I think there's a little bit of truth in both ways of it.
Well,
ESPN creates its own hype.
Well, I'm glad he's back, and I'm glad he's playing well, and let's hope he stays healthy, and then.
Well, he won't be playing this week because next he'll play the PGA Championship probably next.
Where's
For
that
the
at?
remainder of his career, he's going to be really only playing selective tournaments. The amount of effort, I guess I understand from he has to get before he plays around. You got to get hours before it, a ton of stretching, a ton of specific conditioning work to get his back in that kind of shape to play. Were he not a professional athlete, I don't believe anyone with his condition would be able to play golf.
Wow.
It's a severe back injury, and I think it still takes a lot out of him. So.
Wow. Well, Tiger, stay healthy because we want to see you play. This is something I watched, and it's sticking in my craw. The Clemson coach, Dabo Swinney, just signed a
biggest contract.
10-year, $93 million contract with incentives that could take it to well over $100 million. Clemson is a state school, so he's considered an employee of the state of South Carolina.
Absolutely.
I was like, is any coach worth that kind of money?
What do you mean worth? So obviously he's worth that money if someone's going to pay it to him.
Right.
Worth it in terms of
Should a coach be making that kind of money?
in the NCAA when they're not paying the players anymore?
Right. That's where I'm getting at.
Probably not. They say that there's not enough money to pay the players, and there's probably some truth in that. Not everyone and not at every school, certainly. But in these type of programs where you can pay that guy that much money for 10 years and build these new facilities every year, you can do that. You could probably at least let the guys profit off their own name and image.
And that's what I'm saying. This guy makes money from the contract. He makes money from the shoe deals. He makes money from his television appearances. He makes money from his radio shows. But this kid over here can't make money off his own likeness.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of the whole sham of amateurism in the first place, right? There's a lot of hands in the pot with it. I think they should do something, but at the same time, the answer's not clear. How do you do this fairly? Not saying you shouldn't do it. We should definitely do it and do it right. But what's this look like? And what happens to the fallout on the fringe? Now, this doesn't justify not paying the players, but a lot of the money that a football program generates is used to sustain other athletic programs, which lead to other scholarships for other athletes who don't really have an option of becoming professionals,
right?
Because there's not as lucrative, they're not lucrative professional sports. So you're playing. It's these kids who really actually need the scholarship for the scholarship, as opposed to kids going to the NFL and things like that. And not to get into the relative value of yes, they're getting a scholarship, doesn't matter or not. I think it's kind of stripping away. And this is the problem people have with it because it's college sports and people are very emotional with it because they have a connection to it in a certain way. And college sports still exists in some older version of like Americana and a Saturday and that kind of things in this historical context. People have a problem just accepting it as the business of what it is. And so that's why they kind of stick to the amateurism and the collegeness and the that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's but when you look at that situation and you look what CBS and TNT and all these just paid the NCAA for March Madness, like billions.
Yeah.
And then you look at the NCAA that is known as a non-for-profit organization, so they don't pay any taxes on that money.
Well, no. But it's not profit. It's a 501c.
So obviously they're spreading that money around to the schools.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
so they're making money.
Yeah, but not making profit.
It's hard to say that a couple $billion is a profit.
It's not legally considered profit because otherwise they wouldn't be a nonprofit industry. That's a larger tax loophole problem.
Yeah, well, way above my pay grade, so we'd have to get some kind of accountant in here.
That's a larger problem. They certainly need to do something about it. I don't know that it's as simple as just say everyone gets paid. I think my dream scenario would be where the big, to me, the real crux of the issue kind of lies in you got a lot of really rich schools and way more not rich, not competitive schools. And I think at some point you have to start to realistically look at, well, here's the Premier League and here's everybody else.
Right.
And I think that's the way that we enable it because those are the programs that are generating the money. Those are the ones we're citing when we have this argument, not the ones where the scholarship probably means a little bit more.
Right.
So I think we have to be able to begin to solve this problem, we have to address the fundamental difference in the sport that a Michigan, Ohio State, an Alabama, a Clemson, a Florida State are playing versus a Akron, Kent, BG, Florida Atlantic. Those guys, they're playing different sports. And so I think we have to start to separate those two before we understand. We could really fix the payment issue.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic that obviously we could do probably a couple shows about.
Yeah.
But it just I just wanted to throw that out there really quick because it just hits me to see a coach that makes that kind of money off of it. Just his contract.
Well, I mean, they did win a title.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm sure the football team, like you said, is generating tons of money that is supporting the golf team, the swim team.
Well, it's not only that too. It generates in general enrollment. I mean, you have to look at it that way. When a team wins a title, even if you have no intention of playing there, you want to go there, right? And that's how they make money. Really, at the end of the day, they need to attract new students, and so that's how they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How about we jump into something else non-sports related? What do you think?
Yeah, go for it. What you got?
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, all right.
All right.
Let's do it. What you got?
I liked the first episode where finally Samuel Tarly tells Jon Snow who he really is.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
I mean, you knew it had to happen at some point. Jon comes around to it fairly easy enough. I think he kind of had to speed it up. I would have actually done that a little bit earlier in the show to make Jon wrestle with it a bit more.
Right.
Because it comes in at the end. You kind of just have to, oh, okay, that's it. That's true now. And you just go with it. Same way in the next episode when he tells Daenerys about it. But yeah, I mean, that's about right. It was the whole R plus L equals J. It was a well-known theory. It was right. It's less about his reaction to it, and more about Daenerys' reaction.
Right, when he told her, they had a standstill because and then because they heard the horns going off.
Yeah.
So they never really got into a full discussion about it.
Well, no, but her first reaction still is fucked up because it's not, hey, I'm banging my nephew. It's, oh my god, I lost my claim to the throne.
Yeah.
So like her priorities are off from just a realistic perspective. But that also goes to her showing a lot of the Mad Queen stuff in episode 2. Just getting real pissed off, always being about the throne. Not, she came over here with this whole, we're going to break the wheel kind of nonsense. And it was like, once you got here, now you have like summit fever. You're just trying to get to that throne, and you kind of have a sense of entitlement around it. And you can see that play out in the dynamic between her and Sansa.
Yeah,
her in the north.
Your thought about Cersei not sending her army north?
Right,
her
predictable.
strategy.
Predictable. I mean, that's what Cersei's gonna do.
I think, obviously, I haven't read any spoilers. These are
Yeah.
just our opinions.
This is shot on the Saturday before the Battle of Winterfell.
Right.
To put time context, this is before the Battle of Winterfell has aired.
Yeah, we
We
don't
do not know-
we don't know anything.
Right.
This is just my thoughts. I think that's going to backfire on her because if you saw the second episode, they showed the White Walkers.
Didn't see Night King.
I'm thinking he's flying.
That's the
south.
hot theory right now. That's what everyone thinks right now. I don't know what to think about
Yeah.
it. What's he gonna do if he goes south? I don't know.
He's got Viserion with him.
I think there's a deliberate reason they haven't shown him, because normally you'd show him with his like, "Bring it, we're dead" kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, we're not there yet. He's probably going south. He's probably going to cause problems for Cersei and the Golden Company. They have to encounter this at some point. Cersei's plan was obviously let the North deal with it. I'll just
We'll
fight
deal with
them
the rest.
left.
Yeah.
Which again, not shocking. I don't know why anyone trusted Cersei. To Sansa's point, who might be the most like intelligent person left. Like, why would you trust her?
Yeah,
Like, and they're both like, "Well, good point." It's like, no shit.
Yeah. What do you think about their strategy to use Bran as to lure him out?
It's as good as any. I mean, they kind of explained very, very quickly why Bran's the target, because
Right.
he's the human memories or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of all the kind of magic. There's a little bit iffy, but I think it's good enough. But if the Night King's not there, I don't know that it matters.
It's not going to matter either because
Right.
I think personally, and again, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's flying south, and he's going to smoke all that army and turn them into whites, and then he's going to try to sandwich Winterfell that way. And I think Cersei escaped for her life, heads north to try to weasel her way into some kind of forgiveness, and I think that's where it takes off.
And that's where Jaime kills her.
Yeah.
Jaime Lannister kills Cersei Lannister. That's my prediction.
That is my prediction too.
Yeah, because if the prophecy says she gets killed by her brother, everyone had assumed it'd be Tyrion. I'm like, no, it would complete Jaime's arc to kill her more
Yeah,
appropriately.
Jaime's a couple of minutes younger than her.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a great show. Who's the first major character to die?
In the show, so we got
Yeah,
88.
episode-
The whole episode is 88 minutes long. The whole thing is battle scene. There is nothing else.
No dialogue,
It's-
just fighting.
Well, I mean, there might be dialogue in the fighting, but it's not like we won't cut away. It'll be just that fighting. So it's longer than the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's like the longest battle scene ever. First major character down. I think it's Brienne. I think Brienne is definitely getting aced.
So
after
Brienne
she
of
got-
Tarth?
Yes, Brienne of Tarth is going to get aced. I think when she completed her arc, she got knighted. That's it. You have nothing left. She doesn't have any plot points. She has nothing left from a plot perspective to resolve that I think means that she needs to continue, and I think that's the issue.
Yeah, I think her or maybe Tormund Giantsbane. Or maybe he survives a little
Yeah,
bit.
Tormund could. I think they might keep Tormund around a little bit longer. He might die in the episode, but I think he goes later in the episode because he's been really great at comic relief in these otherwise dire circumstances. You know, a couple of those one-liners in really tense situations in both of the first two episodes. First episode, I've always had blue eyes. And then, you know, the second episode, is the big woman still here? And he tells that story about the giant's milk. He keeps it a little lighthearted when everything is very grimly serious. So I feel like you'll use him to kind of ease the tension a little bit during the battle until he does get aced right before the climax of the battle.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I know every one of you guys